Hello again, and welcome to Brandmasters, a podcast that will bring insights and inspiration from the world's foremost thinkers, marketers, and brand builders. I'm Anand Sankaranarayanan, co-founder at TMA Global and your host for this podcast. Today's episode is very special. We are in for an intellectual joyride with the legendary Dr. Clotaire Rapaille, the man who has made it a mission to decode culture and human behavior. He is known for demystifying cultures and consumers with the code that helps marketers and businesses understand why they do what they do. In this episode, I discuss his experiences of working with world's leading brands, his strategic approach that unlocked multiple million-dollar opportunities. We explored his challenging assignments, his understanding of Gen Z audience, and lots more. A surprising note for our Indian viewers: watch till the end to know what he has to say about Indian brand managers and businesses in the context of marketing and culture. It is indeed an honor of my life to have had this stimulating conversation with Dr. Rapaille. Let's dive in. Hello. Good evening, Dr. Rapaille. It's a pleasure and honor to have you on Brandmasters. Welcome to Brandmasters.
My pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Rapaille, you have done groundbreaking work on code, helping brands and organizations around the world to understand culture, consumers, competition, and made sense of all of them to drive business growth. Right? So if I have to ask you a very fundamental question on the concept of code, right? Could you enlighten us and the audience of what this concept actually entails? And once this is cracked, how does this fundamentally changes the dynamics between the consumer and the brand?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm very happy to be with you on this podcast. Very good. Excellent. The notion of code is something that came to me when I was working with autistic children. Autistic children don't really speak the way we do, most of them,
Yes.
And so you have to find a way to get into them. You see, to connect with them, but this is not through the traditional way. And so that was part of my training, to try to understand how to communicate with these children, that they wanted to tell me something, but it was never clear. For example, I had a little boy, I was taking care of this little boy, and it didn't say a word, he never spoke, right? But every morning he wanted to have a bowl of hot chocolate for breakfast.
Yes.
And, I will always manage to make it not too hot because I knew what he was going to do with it, you see. And so he will look at me, take the bowl, and then put it on his head, and all the chocolates will go all over his head. You see?
Okay.
So, wow. What was he trying to tell me? You see? And in the French expression, I have hap to hear with all your problem. So he was trying to tell me that he had all that, his head, wow, he didn't want to. So I had to learn how to decode that, you see, to understand what the meaning behind, I do believe that nothing happened by chance, random, or accident. We just don't understand. We don't make the connection, you see. So what is a code? A code is like when there is a door and you have a bunch of numbers and you have to punch these numbers in the right order to open the door. Okay? That's the same with the communication. We are in front of this door and we want to know what are the things that we have to punch to open the door. And if we don't do the right order, for example, in communication, the order is absolutely crucial. Yeah, the door doesn't open. So let me give you an example. I have done a lot of work on coffee, and in America, in the US, I went to try to understand what is the code, the ideal code for coffee. Right? What everybody at the time was saying is that, oh, this is the taste. And my client was Folger Coffee. They say, oh, the taste, we have done research, we have done, focus groups, we have done interview, we have done questionnaire, and everybody says the taste, okay, right. Vanilla, whatever. Right, okay. So, fine, I understand that, but I don't believe what people say. I don't believe what people say. That's the basic of my work. Why? Not because they lie. It's just because they have no idea of why they're doing what they do. So they try to please you. They try to guess what is it that you want to hear. They try to tell you what they think is going to make you happy. But this is not the real thing. I want to discover the real thing. So how do I do that? Well, I take people through the three brains, the cortex, the limbic, and the reptilian. Yes. And this is a session where I take groups of people and I take them from the cortex to the limbic to the reptilian. And during the third hour, it's 3-hour sessions, they lie down on the floor. Right? And I go through relaxation that we use in sport or whatever. I take them back to the very first imprint. That's the key word, the very first imprint. When was the first time in your life that you discover what is coffee? When was the first time, you see? And when it speaks to you, you're not going to remember because this is unconscious. You see, the whole notion of unconscious is very simple. If you're not conscious, I cannot tell me what you're not aware of or what you're not aware of. What we cannot. So, but when you go through this relaxation, and I take you back to you when you were a child and so on, what we discover, and this is a discovery, that's why this is not research, it's discovery, you see. A lot of people do research and never find anything. They just keep researching. Yeah. We discover things, and when we discover it, it was there. We didn't invent it, it was there. So what we discover for coffee in America is that the first imprint is when you are 2 years old. 2. Wow. Yeah. This is already a lot of information because when you don't drink coffee.
Yes, exactly.
What is it that you imprint, you see? And what we discover was that the aroma, the smell of coffee. This is the first imprint. Now, what this first imprint means is amazing because immediately all the mental connection is, my mother is preparing breakfast. She's going to feed me. She loves me. Yes. I'm home. I'm safe. Yes. All that is activated by the aroma of coffee. And so as a brand, you want to own all that. This is what you want to own, you see. And so that's what we did. We told Folger, forget about the taste. Let the competitors go to the taste. Huh? You have to focus on the aroma. And then we had a communication, an ad on television where we had a young guy coming back from the army, uniform. Why? Because we want to say that this is home, this is safe. So he's coming from danger. Yes. The army, the fight, the danger. So he's in a uniform. He comes. His mother is upstairs asleep. Right? So he goes directly to the kitchen and opens the coffee. And we can feel the air. And he prepares coffee. He doesn't drink. We don't want him to drink. The code is never show people drinking.
Okay.
Amazing.
It's the opposite of what the category would have done.
It's counterintuitive because you want to. So then he prepare the coffee, and the smell, the aroma goes upstairs, Mother open an eye, wakes up. We know exactly the word she is going to say. Why? Because this is the word that has been imprinted for the first time. Remember, home, safe, and that. So she say, he's home. Wow. And, she rushed down the stairs. She hugs the boy. At the time, Folger was owned by P&G, and P&G, they tested everything 400 times. People were crying. I say, come on, this is just coffee. No. It's not coffee. It's home. It's safe.
Maybe on that.
Is love. I don't know. And so all that is so powerful when we understand the connection. You activate what I call the reference system. The reference system has been imprinted in your mind, and unconsciously, smell coffee. You activate all these neurons, all this connection in your brain. So that's what makes such a big difference. You see, once you understand this dimension there, you activate this first imprint, and then your brand owns it. You see, because at the time when we did that, nobody understood what we were doing. They say, what do you do that? We cannot tell you. For more than 15 years, Folger was number one in its category because they used to own aroma. Other people tried to copy. They didn't understand. They put the boy in uniform. They get the boy going to the kitchen and drinking coffee. I mean, they didn't understand. They didn't know the logic, the rationale behind that. But this connection, this mental code, has been imprinted at a very, very early age. So that's what we try to discover, because the early age, you are influenced by the culture, your environment.
Exactly.
Your mother or your substitute mother, whatever it is. But you don't really, you just inherit. I usually say that a culture is a survival kit inherited at birth, transmitted from one culture to another. You don't question it. You cannot. You're too little. Little kids don't question the culture. But this is the way you become part of this culture. So that's what I do. I go around the world and take groups of people, lying down on the floor, going back to your first imprint, or whatever it is.
Nice. You see, that's
I can take an example if you want. I've done learn a lot of work on cars.
Yeah.
See?
Yes.
The American, this is the car culture. Everybody is in a car.
Yes.
But at a certain time, because they had problems, so they start to say, okay, let's try to copy the Europeans.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I was working for all of them, Ford, Chrysler, the GM, and they told me, okay, so we're going to come with a small car. I say, what?
Yeah.
A small car? Yeah, a small car, because the Europeans are very successful, and people that don't have enough room. And I say, hey, this is America, right? You don't want a small car. You see?
Yes.
I can tell you, the first time I came to America, I rented a car, and I went all across America, and for 1 week I was still in America. And when you spend 1 week in a vehicle, you don't want to be in a small little stuff, you want space.
Yeah.
And so they didn't believe me. They started producing small cars. All of them were failures. They lost, and mentally speaking, because your culture is your brain. Americans don't know how to make money with small cars.
Yeah,
they just don't know how to do it. You see, sometimes it costs more money to build a small car than a big one, but they have to sell it at a lower price. You see, so it's
low cost.
I told them bigger. You want the big as possible. They said, okay.
Yes.
Today, my code has been verified. The number one sell in America, number one, is a big truck, 4 doors, pickup truck.
Yes.
and everybody is copying that. Chevrolet and Dodge and now Honda, everybody is trying to go this direction. So you see, it's quite interesting because once you know the code, sooner or later, you're going to win.
Correct. Nice. Well said. It's a culmination of your first imprint, your culture, like how you kind of associate and the unconsciously you've observed, those practices that you've kind of grown up with, right? So I wanted to touch upon this part, taking on the code, and you have given the difference between, that's why this is called discovery and not research.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Research only gets to some extent. So if you can just shed some light on how far research goes and how far ahead this discovery goes in to crack that code.
You see, man, I respect a lot of very good people do research and they get good work, and I don't want to say anything bad against them. But this is not what I do. You see, in research, you have a hypothesis, and you try to verify what is your hypothesis. Unconsciously, you're not going to see what doesn't reinforce your hypothesis. You see, this is yes. You're not doing that purposely, but you can't. See, so it's very difficult to start with no hypothesis. You see, my client, they say, okay, what are you trying to verify? I say, I don't know. What? So what is your hypothesis? I don't have any. What? Christopher Columbus was not going to America. He was going to India. But he arrived in another continent. So, you don't, if you know what you're going to discover, it's already discovered. So, well, no, but we'll see. They're going to tell me. You see, this is what is very important. And so, during the third hour, as I mentioned before, they lie down on the floor, but then I take them back to the very first imprint, and they don't have to speak. They don't speak up. They don't speak, They write down what they did remember, what came back in their mind, but with a lot of details. The number of details absolutely amazing. So you see that this whole notion there. For example, when we did the first code of what is a car in America, you see, what we found is little kids eating, sleeping, playing in these cars. You see, and the dream they had was to steal the keys of the father and to take the car, even if they were not at the age where they could ride. You see, and so and then what was the reference system of a car is sex, alcohol, rock and roll. I mean, that's what the thing is. The car is give you access to all the things that you not allowed to have, of course. And as you know, in America, you're not supposed to drink alcohol before you are 21.
Yeah.
Now, nobody respects that, of course. You see, they go to college and they start drinking and getting drunk. So, this is there are the rules that you can break and is okay within this culture. So, we need to go back to the first imprint. The first imprint of a car in America is like a mobile home. You want everything in this car. You want to have everything, you see. And I told them in every car, they didn't listen to me yet, but you should have a minibar. Minibar in your car. You see. You want a coffee machine. You want a coffee machine. You want a little boudoir for the lady because they're going to put their makeup and when they're driving. And so and now we have already televisions in the car, on the front and back. We have all the electronic. It's just, it is, when people say, oh, I just need the car to go from point A to point B, I don't believe them. They don't know what they're doing. This is completely different. So again, this whole notion here. Now, you see, I know you are interested in brands. can I say you a little bit about brands here right now?
Please go ahead.
People don't understand the power of a brand.
Yes.
The power of a brand. You see, they like your children, and you should respect them and let them grow, but they never should lose their identity. So, big mistakes. People making big mistakes, right? Okay, now they have, I had a Mini Cooper, the Mini, I love my, now they're selling a big Mini, excuse me?
Yeah.
Big Mini, what is it? 5 doors. 4 doors plus 1 door at the back, and then you can put all the thing you want, but it's not a Mini anymore. You see?
Another paradox.
I was in Detroit working for GM, and they say, we're going to show you our new product. Say, okay, what is it? It's a small limousine. Right? A small limousine.
Limousine. Yeah.
I want the biggest possible. I've seen limousine in Los Angeles where they had a swimming pool on the back. A swimming pool with beautiful ladies in bikini, and they were just cruising on Sunset Boulevard. And that's the purpose of the limousine, is not to have, so
a smaller size,
don't get it. You see, they just don't respect it, I think you need to understand not only the code, but how your brand can own this code. And in order to own this code, it has to be consistent, always consistent with the code.
Yes. Very interesting. Including the hypothesis, what you said, since you have gone deep into the subconscious memory, the first exposure that you have picked up, from their memories, and then you built the brand and the communication around it.
Yes.
So for the consumers, when they see the commercial or communication, it's nostalgia for them. Right? This is what I grew up with. This is what my first exposure is, which they would not have triggered. They would not have experienced it on day-to-day basis. So it becomes very strong association between the brand and the consumer. The dynamics completely change. Correct?
Yeah. You saw it because you're right. There is a nostalgia there, but it's not just nostalgia. It's something that is part of me. I know what it is.
Yes.
I know, and it's part of me. That's what we want. You see, I usually say, you don't buy a brand, you join a brand. You join a brand. You said it's very key here. You join the brand, so the brand will become you, and you become part of the brand. You see, this is so. That's why brand manager, they have to respect their customer.
Yes.
Respect your customer, you see, because if you arrive with a big Mini, they say, you're crazy. Well, this is not a Mini. If I want big, I'm going to buy an SUV or Range Rover or whatever. But so you get disconnected. But the way to create a brand is to first discover the code, and then to create the imprint. I know you're familiar with the work I've done for Nestle in Japan. Yeah. You see, and that was very interesting because at the time, that was a long time ago. But anyway, Nestle just tried to arrive and compete against tea.
Yes.
Wow. Tea is almost, a religion. It's sacred. They are ritual. There's something that So you don't challenge that, you see. Unless you have something stronger. But you arrive, as a gaijin, as they say in Japan, a gaijin is a foreigner. You arrive with a gaijin and you present something that, what is this? What is this? It doesn't resonate. The word's key is resonate, So what we had to do is to start creating first imprint. And we start with desserts, with the taste of coffee, and not the caffeine, but and so we start getting children accustomed to that, so with the dessert and then ice cream and then little drinks, and so step by step, in Japan the notion of time is very different. at the time in America or in Germany, Japanese, they have plenty of time. Like the time, boy, it's just okay. So for them, that was not crazy. I will never succeed to do that in America because they want result right now. But in Japan, it was, and I still do some work for Nestle for other things because that's a very long relationship I had with them. So you see, you can create that. You can create this moment where you have, the first imprint. Now, you see, for example, one of the products that I really love the most is Jeep, the Jeep Wrangler. And I want to tell you my first imprint of a Jeep. That was during the war.
Yes.
During the war, the first time I saw the German running away, and for me, I was a little kid, and these Germans, they were empowered. They never ran away. They were running away.
Yes.
And then a Jeep arrived, and for me, that was a liberation.
Yes.
So the Jeep, but look at the Jeep. I think the only car that I've seen driving yourself or with a chauffeur.
Yes.
I've seen Jeeps with the general sitting on the passenger and sitting up, and a chauffeur driving the car. So this is a Jeep. There is no roof, there is no doors. Wow. You see, you can put your foot like the cowboy, on the side, like okay. And that's the code for the Jeep. The Jeep is a horse. It's a horse because with the Jeep, what we say, the motto for Jeep was, you don't need a road. You make the road. Wow. This is it. I don't need a road. I make the road. And so, we had a commercial again on television, and there was a guy in Wyoming that arrived at the gas station with a Volvo 4-door, and he said, he gets some gas and say, I want to go to this town. And so the guy at the gas station look at the car and say, you're going to take this direction for 25 miles, and then you turn left for another 25 miles, and then you go the other side 20 miles, and then you will arrive at your destination. Okay, all right. Okay. Then the guy leaves. Then arrive a guy with a Jeep, no roof, no doors, cowboy boots, and he say, hey, I want to go to the same town. How do I do? This car, you go straight ahead, and you'll be there in 10 minutes. You don't need the road. You make the road. You see? Wow.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. When you are a brand manager, for me, you like the parent of a very gifted child, and you want this gifted child to succeed, to grow, to communicate, and so, but you have to respect the child. Of course, the child is going to grow. For example, I was the one that sold Jeep. Why don't you do a 4-door Jeep? At the beginning, Jeep had not 4 doors, But now they did a 4-door. It was a big sale. It was very well, as long as you can take off the doors, because that's part of the code. You can take off the doors. If you can't, that's just a regular car. So you see, once you understand the code, you have room for innovation, for invention, room for improvement. But you have to stay on code. That's very cheap, you see.
Yes. That's again part of your effort to make Jeep get the rounded headlights back onto their cars, right? Yeah. That's staying within the code.
Yeah. You see, for example, I've been a little bit concerned by Harley Davidson.
Okay.
The big motor. Right. Yeah. The Japanese registered trademark a sound that will be very close to the Harley Davidson, to make sure that their motorcycle, Honda Acura, will have a sound that nobody could copy. Right. Today,
Wow.
Harley Davidson as a head, as a German gentleman, Well, he thinks BMW, he thinks electricity,
Yes.
and he is going to be, and that is a problem for the brand, a silent Harley Davidson.
Wow.
No sound.
You can't imagine that, right?
Wow.
You cannot. Yeah.
It's a mistake. I think it's a mistake. You see,
The whole character feels lost.
that's right. You can have an electric Harley Davidson, but you have to have some kind of a sound that you create yourself to make sure that there is a sound, there's the feeling. So
Correct.
it's something so strong. You see, so powerful.
Yes.
I know people want to do good. You see,
Yeah.
I call that dumb good intentions. Dumb.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good intention, but this is dumb. It never going to work. You see, this is sorry about that, but just
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I can give you. I've done work on
Yes.
guns and violence in America, right? And I know some people now that wanted to create a handgun for lady, pink, a pink gun. A pink gun. And women told me, if somebody will attack me, I take my pink gun and say, pink, you don't frighten people with a pink gun. What is this?
It's correct. Correct.
It's not understanding the purpose of the product of the gun,
Correct.
whatever it is. This is what is key. You have to understand to be consistent with the code. You have to be on code all the time.
Yes. Yes. Dr. Rapaille, before we move on to the next segment, I want to touch upon your work in Japan for Nestle. Like, after cracking the code that coffee is not a part of their culture, so obviously you cannot sell coffee first, and you've introduced it through candies, ice creams, and other mediums for the audience to get accustomed to coffee. My question was, how did you convince the Nestle team or leadership team that they have to take a really long approach? You're not going to make it in year one. Like you said, most people in the world, they can't even think of, the farther they can go is like planning for the next weekend. This is like they have to wait for decades, right, to get hold of the market. How did you convince the leadership to even take this approach?
Well, you see, the first element was to discover what I know, the culture code. There is a culture code. It is not the product, but the code of the culture. You have to understand the culture, right? And
Yes.
In Japan, they don't really copy anything, contrary to what people say. They make things Japanese. You see. For example, I've done the code for White Horse whiskey in Japan, and the Japanese told me, we invented whiskey. Excuse me. Yeah, we invented whiskey. Oh, okay, all right. So the way to succeed in Japan is to arrive to a point where they think they invented the product.
Yes.
And so the way I explain that to Nestle, I say, look, because you're going to start with children and so on and that, they're going to say, yeah, it's a normal continuation. This is our product. We invented it.
Okay.
And so, you see, I think in the Indian culture is very, very good at integrating the thing that, invaders or whatever want to do. You see, in India, and I love India, I went there many times, I'm going back in 1 month, they say, the British gave us bureaucracy. We improved it.
Yeah, correct.
And that's very opportunity. This is so complicated as well. But on the other hand, you see, today, I love cars, and I think British cars are not made by British anymore. Bentley, Rolls-Royce, German. But Indians are the best to understand the English culture. And I think that, Range Rover and so all the things that today Indian company, I trust them. They're going to do an excellent job, and because they understand, the
Nice.
They own it already. They own the culture. In many ways, I think they're more British than the British.
Well, it's good to know about this interpretation, the observation that you've made. I'm sure all the Indian brand managers watching the show will be beaming with pride that they're doing the right thing.
You see, when I look at the uniforms of the army, the military uniforms, the Indian uniforms are incredible. They were British than the British Army. Just amazing. It's just amazing. Then cricket. I said, wow, you see, this is so. It's an element of a culture that is becoming part of the culture. You see, this is a
culture.
Is key, and I think that the number one priority for a brand is to represent this element of the culture, this cultural archetype, as I call them. You see, I mean,
Yes.
Champagne is France.
Yes.
This is it. This is France. You don't want a Japanese champagne or an American champagne. They might do it. But you want the real thing from Reims and Champagne and with Clicquot and so there is something that's represented. For example, I'm doing some work right now on whiskey, and there is something about the cultural identity. You see, the Irish say our whiskey is better than the Scottish whiskey. You see, so Irish and they say English, they don't understand anything about whiskey. All right. See, of course, for the Irish and the Scot, English are always been the enemy. So, let's explain a little bit that. But, you see, so it's so interesting. Now, the Japanese are coming to a whiskey today that is one of the most expensive whiskey in the world.
Yeah.
Wow. I tested it and it's quite good. Huh? But I still prefer my Scotch single malt whiskey.
I mean, that's your imprint, baby.
Absolutely. My grandmother, you see, let me tell you about my imprint of whiskey. But my grandmother was Scotland. She was Scotland.
Okay.
And she every day she drank some whiskey and smoked some Marlboro cigarettes every day.
Wow.
She died, I was 97, because she had a car accident. She was driving. 97. So my imprint is that I can drink whiskey until 97, no problem.
Yeah. Correct.
As right. It's just no, you don't question that.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. So, Dr. Rapaille, next question.
Yeah.
You often emphasize the importance of appealing to the reptilian brain. Like reptilian always win, and don't go behind the cortex or rational thing. So, can you shed some light on why this approach is crucial even more today, especially in the most cluttered brand environment or a competitive environment that businesses are kind of functioning in? Why is it more important? Because I see most of the brands take the logical and rational approach. Like, I have this particular USP that stands this product away from the competitor. It makes it stand out and all of that. But USPs are becoming hygiene, right? Today, anybody is copying any single new feature in the matter of just 6 months. Technology has evolved so much. So in this context, why is it even more important to appeal to the reptilian part of the brain or the emotional part of the brain? You can just shed some light on it.
Yeah, you see, the reptilian brain, you don't negotiate with a reptilian brain. You don't negotiate with the brain. This is survival, yeah.
Yes.
And so you need to eat, and you need to protect your skin, to be warm, all these things. So
yes.
The whole notion around the world today is that you have to lose weight. You have to be skinny, to be healthy.
Yes.
And so we sell diet books all around the world by millions.
Yes.
The result of these diet books is obesity. The more we sell diet books, the more people are overweight. You see, so it's a nonsense. It doesn't make any sense, you see. So why? I use this example to say because the reptilian always win. So I want to eat, and especially Americans, what do they eat so much? Because they are poor immigrants originally, you see. And a lot of people from Irish descent or whatever, they had famine. They were dying because they could not eat, you see. So today, a small portion doesn't exist in America. Doesn't exist. I remember the first time I ordered a salad in Los Angeles, they gave me a dish like for 5 people. I'm alone. I just want little. No. So abundance.
Yeah.
So 75% of Americans are overweight. 50% of them are obese. Now, all of them, they bought the diet books.
Yes.
Have the book. They know the cortex is satisfied because they know. Yeah, but they cannot go against the reptilian, you see. And so this is what is so interesting. Knowing is not enough. Knowing is not enough. Otherwise, I mean, I've done a lot of work with doctors, physicians, medical doctors. Well. And there is something we call compliance. Compliance is you have a disease and there is a diagnostic and there is a prescription. And you need to take these pills for 6 weeks, every day, 6 weeks. Right? The doctors, they know all the information, but they stop after 2 weeks. So no compliance. Oh, I don't really need it, or I'm fine, I'm not sure. That was 6 weeks. Well, how many of them are obese, drink alcohol, and smoke? I know a lot of them do that, you see. But so the cortex is not enough. The intelligence is not enough, It's not enough to be intelligent. You see, you need to have the emotion and the reptilian together. But if you have only the cortex, there is a group called La Mensa. Mensa is the people with a very, very high IQ, very intelligent IQ. These people are usually not very successful in life. Why? Because they put all their in the cortex, but there is no emotional intelligence. No emotional intelligence. So they're very difficult to relate or to communicate to. And, you need to have the three. You need to accept the reptilian dimension.
Yes.
And one thing I want to share with you that is very interesting because I think the Indian culture, it fascinates me.
Yeah.
Why? Because most of my clients, CEOs, presidents and CEOs in America, are Indians.
Yeah. Yes.
What? All of them are Indians.
That is true.
I didn't see any Chinese, I didn't see any French, I didn't see any German. I mean, why Indians? Because of the Indian culture. And the Indian culture imprints in you. So you see, for example, one thing that I like, the Indian scientists, They're very intelligent, they're brilliant, they are very highly educated, and so on. So on. But they are superstitious. I call them superstitious scientists. So, for example, they are scientists, but they're not going to get married if all the stars are not at the right position, and it's so interesting. I was in Delhi at a time where all the stars was aligned. Thousands of people were getting married at the same time because the stars. So they are so. By the way, I'm not criticizing. I think there is some wisdom there. There is some wisdom, the expression when the stars are aligned, you're going to succeed. Just like so. There is but. That is something that is acceptable, not just acceptable, a part of the Indian culture. You see?
Yeah.
I mean, if my reading is correct, in India there is more than 3,000 official gods. 3,000 official gods.
There are numerous number of them. Yeah.
So great, that gives you choice.
Yes.
And I've seen my Indian friends in action negotiating with some of the gods, and if they don't get what they go to see another one. So the Indians are very good negotiators. Very good negotiators.
Yeah, they negotiate they even negotiate with gods, like you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting, very interesting. Dr. Rapaille, I wanted to touch upon this Hey Whipple problem in advertising. Right, it's an intriguing problem that sometimes people may dislike certain ads or few communication, yet they still end up buying the products. Right?
Absolutely.
Is this a result of familiarity only through repeated exposure? Is it only because of that phenomenon? How can brand leaders manage this paradox between consumer sentiment and purchase decisions?
Yeah, I think the key notion for a brand manager or brand leader is you don't care if people don't like you. What?
Okay.
Yeah, you don't care if they don't like you. You care when they don't buy your product. That's what is key here. So if they don't like you and buy your products, you're okay. I mean, that's it. What is the problem? You see, I hate airlines. All of them.
Yeah.
I keep flying and I'm buying tickets. You see? So you see, this is simple. Yeah. So now, then why are we going back to something that we don't like?
Yes.
Well, because there is a reptilian hot button. What I call a reptilian hot button is something that you trigger, creates some very primitive reaction, and you don't know why, but you go for it. You see, this is it. So that's why doctors smoke. Or drink alcohol. So they know they should not do it. But that's it. It's so bad. So bad. So you see, there is this instinctive reaction. You see.
Yes.
That's For example, when I did the work on guns, a gentleman called Alex Baldwin is an actor, American actor, and he was on a set, and he took a gun and he started shooting. He thought that was just a fake gun. That was a real gun, unfortunately, and he killed one person and the other hurt. So once you teach when people want to learn how to, you never aim a gun at people. You never do that. You see, you never do that. When you go shooting, for example, you have to put your gun there, and and that's you shoot the target, but you never aim at people. Never. Alex Baldwin knew that. But the imprint of cowboy movies and so instinctively, you see, and so that's what is key here. My advice to brand managers is when people say, I don't know why I'm buying that, but I want to buy it. They don't need to know. That's it's important.
They don't need to know.
They don't need to know. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you I mean, this is very, very simple. You see, porn, sex, this is, do you need to know? No, this is part of your reptilian dimension. I mean, India is going to be have a larger population than China soon, or maybe already there.
It's already, yeah.
Indians don't have any problem with sex. You can even use the Kama Sutra if you want, but anyway, this is working. This is working. I'm not telling you it's right or wrong, but this is working. And China with the one-child policy, it doesn't work. You see, and so that's what is key here. The reptilian always wins. That's it. No, 9 billion people on this planet today. Is it good or bad? That's not my point. I don't want to make any judgment here. I just look at the reality, you see. So, and then 50% of Americans being obese. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. But this is the best market for diets and for diet books. So you buy the book to satisfy your cortex, but you eat a lot to satisfy your reptilian.
Reptilian. Yeah, there's a good paradox there. Yeah, very good paradox there. Interesting. Dr. Rapaille, I'll move to the most difficult generation of people that Brand's trying to understand, the Gen Z. Right? Gen Z and the green habits of Gen Z that they are adopting in buying behavior, right? They're known, this segment is known for the environment-friendly choices that they make, but they also are drawn to instant gratification. They want like immediate results. They want it now, right? They live in the now generation, right? Yeah. So how can businesses align these green values while acknowledging that immediacy of instant gratification that needs to be met? Like it's a delicate balance because these are like opposite. I mean, the poles apart. They're not the same. They're not aligned on the same track. Yeah. How should they tread this path?
You see that you have so many examples of companies that try to understand the next generation and try to appeal to this generation, and fail. Is a disaster. And look at Budweiser.
Yep. Yeah.
That was the #1 beer in America. Then they did follow some crazy people that tell them, you have to go into transgenders. Transgenders? Yes, that's the next market. What? The real market for the beer is Middle America. Midwest, Middle America. People that have a gun in the car and six-pack on the seat and drink a pickup truck. That's the real market. These people, they are not transgender people. No way. You see? And so that's the minorities are very active. They speak loud. Everybody is aware of it. But they don't represent the future of the brand. You see, this is it. And so I think that all this notion of protecting the environment, for example, okay, nobody say that electric cars, they pollute.
Yes.
What? Well, because to produce electricity, you have to pollute.
Yes.
It's not simple.
That's true.
You see?
That's true.
So that's true. Things that are happening today, I'm working for a company called Aptera. And Aptera, they have a car that is run by the sun. The sun. So you have cells on the roof. You park your car outside, and the next day you have 50 miles for free. Wow. 50 miles for free, no electricity, no gas. I mean, this company is going to make an incredible success here. So that's what is key here. But the generation, they want to say, let's protect the environment. You see, for example, okay, we have to protect the wolves. Okay.
Yes.
Then, okay, I'm not against the wolf. I like the wolves, but the problem is that they're going to eat all the cattle and they start killing. So the peasants say, "Hey, well, no, we need to shoot them." No, it's illegal. You cannot shoot. So, but they killing my cattle. I'm losing. So you see, it's difficult to balance, to compensate, to understand the different size here. But the size. What is happening for me is that you need to understand this balance between the cortex, the limbic, and the reptilia. You see, and so this is what I call the logic of emotion is key here. The logic of emotion.
Yes. Yeah.
Emotion, but there is a logic in this. For example, mothers will tell me, "I want my children to grow worldwide. I want my children to grow, okay, and I don't want them to grow." What? Well, yeah. And they're so cute when they're little. I want to keep them like this. They want to stay home. Okay, they're going to go college, and I'm going to lose them. But so they need to grow, but I don't want them to grow. You see, this is the purpose of parents is to teach them independence, and you don't want them to be independent. Unconsciously, you see, this is incredible tension. Again, that is very, very difficult to decode, because it's not logical, it's emotional. There's an emotional logic, but it's not the cortex logic. Yeah. So people don't like to say that. They don't like to, But that's part of the reality that is very important. And then there's a reptilian brain with dominate everything. This is why? Because if you stop eating, you die. You see, if you start having sex, there are no more children. I mean, there are some elements of survival of the species that are there.
Yes.
You see, and so of course it has to win. The same with cars again. You see that there are a lot of tornadoes. There are bad weather. There is a situation where there is a flood as well. You want a car that can survive in this condition. You see, this is it.
Yes.
And so why SUVs, sport utility vehicles, 4-wheel drives, higher,
yes.
Again, this is, you see, I've done some work for Porsche. And then, this is a very fantastic car. I have one and I love it. But woman who told me in America, "I love this car, but I don't like to be lower. I don't want the guy in the truck to look down to me." You see?
Wow.
So I want to be higher. And even if it doesn't make any sense, because very high cars, they can have a turnover, they're not that safe when they're very high. The Porsche is very safe. But the feeling, the emotional feeling that the big guy on the truck can look down at you, whoa, see. Wow.
Yeah, the whole dynamics change.
Yeah. So there is another dimension that is very interesting here.
Very fascinating.
I want to tell you before maybe we're going to end this program, because I'm
sure
I'm limited in time, but I want to tell you about Generation Z.
Yes, please.
This is the last letter of the alphabet.
Yes,
and that is a symbol. That might be the last time we use this kind of description of a generation. Because for me, the next generation, and it's a major breakthrough for your podcast here, I think this is going to be the quantum generation. The quantum generation. Quantum physics changing everything.
Everything.
You see, everything. Right. And it's not binary. You see, it's yes, it is no, and it's yes, no, and more,
no.
A lot more.
Yes.
Solve a problem in 100 seconds, that regular computer will take years to solve.
To do that.
So Google has already a quantum computer, IBM. So the new quantum generation is really what's going to change the way of thinking. We're not going to think the same way, you see. And I'm created an institute, the Rapaille Quantum Institute, where I'm going to start teaching how to think quantum. no binary, think quantum. It's just amazing.
Yes.
And
That's amazing.
And I want to give you the last news, which is very important news for me, is
Yeah.
I think the Indian culture is already quantum.
Wow.
That's why we have all the successful that are Indians, because this is already part of the way Indians think. You see, there's no limit. There's no, everything is possible. Everything. Oh, that is so amazing. You see, and so
Yes.
I think this is a Churchill that say India is chaos, but chaos that works.
Partly right. Yeah, it's difficult to. I think it's very difficult to decode. As a
to agree with that, but I believe that for me, the Indian culture is going to surprise the world. I'm convinced of that.
I think it is starting to happen already. I guess you're right. I think your readings are bang on that. And I love the final word you said on the Gen Z, right? Z is the last word, and we should not have probably labeled the generation as Gen Z, right? It needs to be quantum. It's like ever evolving. It's not going to stop there, right? I completely buy your point. Whoever labeled it, I think, it's time to rethink when we start doing the labeling for the next generation that's going to come after them, right?
Yeah.
So, one last word from you, Dr. Rapaille, before we close this podcast. So, one key message that you have to leave behind all the brand builders and brand marketers and business leaders on building a meaningful brand in today's world. Like, what will be like one key message that you will leave them behind?
Well, the key message for me is don't believe what people say. That's the key message.
Okay.
Don't believe what they say.
Okay.
Always try to understand why they do what they do. And no judgment, just observation. No judgment, But
yes,
it's never as simple of what they say, because they're not aware of why they do what they do.
Yes.
You see? So
yes, you're right.
why do Americans buy guns in America all the time?
Yes.
Don't believe what they say. There is another reason.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to have 25 guns in your home. You see, but if I got another direction here, is why do women buy shoes?
Yes.
My wife had like 400 pair of shoes. You see, so
Yes.
this is what the explanation is. Oh, this is convenient. This is for me. I can put all my things in. Don't believe what they say. Try to understand what is the reason why. The first imprint that makes people do what they do.
Do what they do. Yes. Well said. That's a very, very powerful message. Last message that you have given to the audience here. And Dr. Rapaille, thank you very much for spending your time and sharing all your insights. It's an honor to host you on this show.
Great pleasure to be with you. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you.
Bye-bye.